Hello and welcome back to Learn Digital Art with Nilofer. I was requested by many of my followers to upload a video on this beautiful illustration of a young girl among bugs and butterflies. I want to let you know that it isn't very difficult to illustrate. There really aren't too many brushes that we'll be using, but we will be utilising techniques such as opacity, the thickness of our nib, and copy and paste. Right. Let's create the shape of the face and the eyes using the Studio Pen inking one brush. I will be creating the face and then filling it out and then making the eyes. You'll remember, in order to make shapes, you just need to create the rough outline and press your nib onto the canvas, and that will create the shape you want. In this case, we're doing the eyes. I've now copy and pasted it from one side to the other, just to get that symmetry on the face. Now let's zoom in. What I want to do is create the pupils, and I'm picking a brown colour for this. I'm just going to create that again, create the halves. I'm going to fill them up. You'll notice I've already created the eyelashes, which was just a case of increasing the thickness of the nib. I'm now going to fill in the whites of the eyes. And then what I wish to do is create a nice light effect in the eye itself using a lighter brown colour. Once I've done this solid colour, I'm going to be using my soft blend brush from the Airbrushing 1 folder. What this is going to do is create an effect of a three-dimensional pupil. I'll replicate that effect onto the right hand side of the eye, and then I'm just going to do an outline of her nose and her lips. Let's now give some definition to her face and her cheeks to show where the light's hitting her from the side. I'm going to be using a darker colour using the soft blend brush from the Airbrushing 1 folder. I'm going to be using it on the top side of her forehead and her cheeks. I tend to go for a light colour on the face first of all, because then I can play with darker tones and lighter tones on the surface of the face. Let's go back into the Studio Pen. What I want to do is reduce the opacity of my colour, which will be white. I'll do that from the bottom left hand corner, and then what I want to do is create some lines and a little dot on the side within the eyes to depict that the light's hitting her pupils. I'm going to create some shadow in the pupil by going into the ink bleed pen, making the colour darker and just roughly shading in the bottom part of her pupil. Let's now go back into our Studio Pen and increase the nib so we can create even more luscious eyelashes for her. I'm now going to go into the soft blend brush and make the colour palette red, and I think you know what will happen. I'm going to be creating her red rosy cheeks, and no illustration by Nilofer is complete without that. Let's do the outline of her hair. I'm using the Studio Pen and increasing the nib from the top left hand corner. I always like to create a hairline before I fill it in, and it usually has to be in a darker colour because that way I can play with strands of hair in lighter colours. Now I'm going to go into the materials folder and into the short hair brush. I'm going to give some highlights. Now I'm going to continue using this brush in multiple different colours all over the base of her hair. And we'll be coming back to this part of her hair later on. Let's begin with her body now. I'm going to be creating her neck. And I want to be creating a green dress on her. What's special about this dress is it will have a cape at the back, and for that what we're going to be using is the opacity button on the left hand side. You'll see how I'll be reducing it, and then I will fill it out. So opacity is just reducing the transparency or the solidity of the colour, and this will just allow the viewer to see that there is a sheer material at the back as opposed to the solid green in the front. I'm now coming back to the hair because I feel like I really want it to be waving in the air and the breeze. So I've gone into the materials folder and picked the fine hairbrush. And I'm now going to create little strands on her face. I wanted to give her something fun, so I added a little accessory, a little pin on the side of her hair, which is just created with the studio pen with the same colour as her dress. Then I've gone around in a white colour, and I'm then going to be creating this little flower, which is just basically one dot in the middle and then 4 or 5 dots around it. That could depict a daisy, for instance, and it's one of the easiest flowers that you could create or illustrate. Let's now work on her body. I'm going to be creating her arms with the same colour that I used on her face, and I'm going to be creating the base of her neckline also. As soon as that's done, I want to give it some shading, so I'm going to go into a dark colour and move from the studio pen to the soft blend brush and just give some highlights underneath the neck where the chin would be, and also around the arms. I also decided to give her some really nice organza sleeves, so I'm going to be using the studio pen, reducing the opacity from the bottom left hand corner bar, and then create the sleeves. Now that the main little girl is created, let's concentrate on the background. I want to create some bugs and butterflies in different motions. So we're going to start off with this firefly, and I've just created the outline and filled it in with whichever type of colours you wish. I'm just using one brush for this, and that's a studio pen. I'm going to be creating the wings, and what I want to do is take a lighter colour and then reduce the opacity on the bottom left hand side bar and create the veining. Whilst I'm creating the lines, you'll notice that I've put 2 solid white and yellow coloured lines on the bottom of the fly. It's entirely up to you if you wish to do this pattern. I just think it stands out a little more. I'm now going to be using the soft blend brush to create the light coming out. After that's done, I want to do some touching up to the body of the fly. And when that's complete, I'm going to begin to copy and paste it around our little girl. I'm going to begin by drawing the first of our butterflies. I'm going to go for a new layer, a red rouge colour, and creating the outline of the wings for our butterfly and just filling it with the same colour. I'm using the Studio pen here again. I'm just going to copy and paste that side and move it onto the right hand side to give it some symmetry. By changing different colours, I'm able to incorporate a body along with patterns on the wings. Once that's done, I will copy and paste this little butterfly into positions around our little girl. I always think it's nice to go for a light background colour. In this instance, I'm going to go for aquamarine. Now, I'm going to go and concentrate on the little girl's dress and create some patterns on her dress. I'm going to be using a gold colour, using the Studio pen, and creating two little patterns. I think what I want to do is match her earrings with the pattern on her dress. And then what I wish to do is reduce the opacity of our colour and create ears. And I've done this because I don't want the ears to be solid because they're hiding behind her luscious hair. Now I'm going to attempt to draw the second butterfly in a different position to the first one. So I'm going to start off with drawing the side or profile of the body, and then I'm going to use a red Studio pen colour to create the wings. Let's fill the wings in and then add some pattern. I want to create a second set of wings at the back, but to give them a bit of definition, I want to be able to reduce the opacity. This way you'll see two sets of butterfly wings as opposed to one. And we'll continue to decorate the wings and the remainder of the butterfly now. Once we've got the full body of our butterfly, we can commence with copy and pasting it onto our little girl. I've also decided to create another butterfly in different colours this time, and what I'm going to do is create the pattern using the soft blend brush. This will give slight different look to this particular butterfly. I'm going to be creating another butterfly. This butterfly's wings will be orange and yellow. Once I've created the pattern, what I want to do is go into the soft blend brush and blend out the yellow and orange. I'm going to continue to create the whole of the butterfly now using a very thin nib to create the body and then the tentacles. I don't really tend to leave the background solid. I like to give it a bit of definition, so I'm going to use the rainforest brush from the organic folder and create some patterns at the back. I'm now going to do some final composition work, positioning the flies and some of the butterflies around our little girl. What I want to do finally is copy and paste our yellow butterfly onto the side, and I might just change the colour here, so I'm just going to go into our colour palette and go for a light purple or a lavender and just copy that colour straight onto the wings of our butterfly. And there you have it. I hope at the end of this video you'll also have an illustration similar to mine. And if you wish to go back to any section of this video, I will give you some timings in the description box below so you can fast forward to perhaps the ears or creating the hair or the face shape. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.